welcome to another episode of Figure It Out. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for all the love and support that you've shown on my episode so far. Today, I have someone who actually is the flag bearer of the term "looks are deceptive." Shikha. Hi.
Hi.
So, like her working style is completely opposite to how she looks. Like she's fierce and aggressive, and she's like a complete kid at heart when you sit with her. Outside office, of course, not at office. People listening to, colleagues listening. She's still like a good boss, aggressive boss.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So, Shikha, welcome.
Thank you.
So, tell us what you do in your work right now.
Okay. So, right now I'm managing a skincare brand.
Okay.
And before that, I was managing a jewelry brand.
Okay.
And I started off with advertising as my career. And then eventually I made switch to the brand side.
Okay.
And yeah, I love what I do because I think it's great to sort of see a brand grow from nothing to like,
there's this thing, always people keep saying 0 to 1.
Yeah.
Every time I go into any brand, they're like 0 to 1.
And you see that. Listen, but you see that, right? You see the work and you're like, oh, I did that.
The first time I heard 0 to 1, I was so confused. Ye kya hota hai? 0 to 1 kya bol rahe?
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit of time to get used to those stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in marketing and it took a lot of time because I never studied those fancy terms. I never studied an MBA or anything. Yeah. I just directly jumped into it.
But you know what I really sort of appreciate in this whole 0 to 1 journey? Obviously there's numbers and there's like itna hua, ROI itna hua hai. So all of that is fine. But I think it's like a whole different joy when you have like somebody, a friend of yours or just somebody sort of an acquaintance meeting like, oh, that brand, oh, I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, they did that. I'm like, yeah, I did that, I did pull it off. Exactly. That is this unparalleled joy. Correct. But I'm very like modest that I'm like,
I haven't seen you modest ever.
I try. I don't think I'm very successful. But I think that is the
for effort.
Thank you. But that's the whole, that's the whole fun of this entire 0 to 1 sort of a journey, right? That you have somebody just sort of, you meet out of nowhere telling that, hey, you know what, I've been seeing this brand, I've been seeing what you're doing and it's great. So I think I get like a big high out of that, honestly.
And that makes sense. Like, I think it's important to love what you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
absolutely.
you're just logging it out for, just to get that paycheck.
Yeah. And that is just not me because, I knew from the beginning, right, that I'm not this person who will just do like the bare minimum 8 hours. And I did the 5 things I was asked to do this day and I come back.
You are the person just say, look, time pe nikalta humko gaaliyan milti hai.
I'm that person. And incidentally, it's funny you say that because yesterday I actually left from my office at like 6 o'clock, which is early for me. And I was home at 6:30 and my mother's like, this never happens. This only happens. This never happens. Why are you home? I was having my space. Why are you back home? But that never happens. I am that person. So, every time I see light of the day when I'm leaving from office, I'm like, oh, that's great. But see, I don't
Sunset
see it.
Sun.
Sun. Yeah, I'd almost forgotten what you look like. But I think, a lot of people obviously will criticize, ye hustle culture kya hai, you burn out and all. I think there's a very thin line here. If you're enjoying and if you're like really in love with what you do, it's not negative if you ask me, right? I love what I do. I enjoy the process. And yes, it demands a few extra hours out of me, but I'm not complaining. If it was something which was very unreasonable or was not making sense or was not driving home any impact,
then it makes a little bit of a difference. Then
it's very
then you'll probably tone yourself down a little bit. Then
I wouldn't even want to sort of put, I don't think I would be in that situation. I don't like sort of associating myself with things that I'm not actually emotionally invested in on some level, right? So if it was that sort of a context, I wouldn't probably be going the extra mile or doing the, I'd probably just sort of do the bare minimum and be like, okay, there is no appreciation for what I'm doing, so I'm out.
So were you always into advertising? How did you decide? Like, ek din uth ke mere ko ek ad dikha, like, hey, mere ko ye karne ka.
So I feel I'm very blessed in that sense. A lot of people, and I remember when I was in school, a lot of my friends, they didn't know ki kya karna hai.
Right.
Now, luckily in my case, and not as young as 5 or 4, but I'll tell you what I was actually doing when I was in second standard. My parents had practically put me in every class out there. So I was doing Bharatnatyam and I was doing Shamak. and I was doing basketball.
भरतनाट्यम और शामक क्या
I
मतलब
was doing it all.
ये किधर किधर जा रहे हैं?
इसको लाइफ के लिए हम प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं, ये किसी भी तरह से
और
नाच
life
सकते
के
हैं
लिए
मेहमानों
confuse
के
कर रहे
सामने. No, so they put me in 5 things, out of which I probably excelled at like 2 things
कि
maybe.
कहीं मम्मी बोला रहा है कहीं
हाँ,
आगे तो अच्छी
5
निकल
चीजों में तुक्का मारते, 2 में अच्छा करके निकल आएगी, right? And that's pretty much what happened. So I really sort of ended up doing Bharatanatyam very well, and I was absolutely sucky at sports, and I am till date. Because I remember I was put into a basketball class, and all I did was I just chased around the ball.
हाइट बढ़ानी है.
हाइट बढ़ानी, हाइट बढ़ी नहीं.
वो स्कैम है ना वो.
स्कैम है वो, स्कैम है. क्योंकि एक्चुअली यार मतलब I don't even blame my parents, क्योंकि मुझे बास्केटबॉल के लिए भेजते थे, मैं दही पापड़ी चाट खाने निकल जाती थी.
लाइक कॉम्प्लान ना, मतलब कॉम्प्लान बोलते हैं हाइट बढ़ते सब
नहीं होता है, बट आल्सो यार मतलब
मार्केटिंग हम लोग ये सब झूठ बोलते हैं.
हाँ, my parents fell for it obviously कि इसको हम डालेंगे, ये तोड़ेगी, कुछ नहीं हुआ ऐसे. But yes, I definitely did Bharatanatyam. That was fun. I mean, I love dancing, तो वो निकला आया. But yeah, I was basically this person who was doing a lot of things as a kid. Luckily, by 8th grade, by 7th grade, I got that clarity that advertising or media is something I would want to do. It's also, largely because of the fact that my dad himself came from a very media-centric background.
Nice.
He started his career as a journalist.
Wow.
And he was a journalist for quite some time in his life, and then he switched to advertising. And, obviously, I'd seen a lot of those conversations happen at my house, when I was growing up, that, they're talking about this account, and, he's doing this,
right.
and, he's talking about this film or this ad and stuff like that. So I always sort of was exposed
you were
to that.
fascinated by it.
I was very fascinated by it. For sure.
Like, the advertising industry is very fascinating. It's all glittery and everything.
It is, right?
That's what, kind of...
It is. But, somehow... and I do feel good, it's good in that sense, even though it's a very glamorous sort of an industry, right?
Yeah.
I think one thing that my parents consciously did is that while, of course, I was hearing these conversations, they did not want to sort of bring me into that world fully. Yeah. In the sense that, obviously when you sort of...
It's very easy to get carried away by the stardom and everything.
It is. And also like when you are in that family, right, you do get all these offers that does she want to do it and all. I don't think my parents let that happen because see, now that I'm on this other side and I'm seeing advertisement, I also know that, it's a little tough for kids who are in advertising.
It's exhausting.
It's very exhausting. And I think...
it's not all glamorous as, people think,
it's not.
They actually,
not at all.
It's a lot of struggle for them as well, mentally, emotionally, physically.
Because think about it, this child is attending school, right? And then right after this person's school is over, is brought onto the set. And now this child is expected to shoot for another 8 hours.
Damn.
And is like tired and just like cranky and just practically just wants to go out and play with his or her friends, right?
I think I had read about it. I don't know how, maybe my fact set might be incorrect over here. When Harry Potter was getting shot, I think they postponed some shoots because all the 3 characters, the main characters, they hadn't completed the school hours.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that they got the sort of accommodated environment.
But it goes in hand. Like, you have to do both. And
you have to do both.
For child actors, it's very exhausting.
You're signing up for that. You're signing your kid up for that. Even though your kid might not really be in a position to take a decision for themselves, whether they want to do it or not.
Yeah.
But as parents, you're consciously signing your kids up for that,
Absolutely.
right? And that's something my parents were not in favor of doing. My father led by example in that sense for me, that I knew that I wanted to do advertising.
I mean, that's good. Like, you were inclined towards it right from the, initial days in your life.
Yeah.
How has the journey been, like, from your college days? Did you study advertising? I'm sure that you studied advertising because you were here right now and you were inclined towards it. Like, in terms of your studies, in terms of your work life, how has the journey been? Has it been, like, as easy as it looks on the outside, or like,
far from it.
Yeah, so, like, how has it been? Like, people, family influence, incidents that pivoted. Like, maybe there were times when you actually doubted yourself. Like, is it the right field I'm in? Did you have those moments or not? Like, how was it? Like,
so I'll tell you where, when I was 16, right, I don't think I was in a position really to sort of have second doubts or do any second guessing, because a lot of my entire family situation had really changed drastically.
Okay.
Because I was 16 when I lost my dad.
Oh.
And, I obviously, like I told you, that there was this class and apni beti ko ye karayenge and wo karayenge. There was obviously a lot of, it was a very protective, sheltered sort of a childhood that, I'd had for the longest time, of course, up until I turned 16. And when I did turn 16, is exactly the time when I lost my dad. And I think everything pretty much changed for me overnight, right?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, I was expected to like really grow up and step up and take more responsibilities because dad's not there. And mom had been a housewife all her life, right?
Yeah.
So everyone was just like, okay, what now? What next? What are these guys going to do? What is Shikha and mom going to do now, right?
Yeah.
So in a lot of sense, everything changed for me, right? If I was a very spoiled, naive, um, you know, devil may care sort of a person when I was a kid, that attitude had to also drastically change. Now I had to like sort of
You had
work.
to adapt to.
I had to adapt.
You had to adapt to the newfound circumstance.
Absolutely.
And
And I couldn't complain because complaining was not going to get me anywhere.
Complaining never gets you anywhere.
It's not
right?
going to get me anywhere, yeah.
Matlab, see, it's okay to rant. I feel it's okay to rant, but just after you're done, like get back up.
It's also okay to sometimes be like, okay, I don't even know why this is happening. You pick yourself up and you move.
Yeah, you move. And
it's a very sink or swim sort of
situation. You did that, right? You did that. Like, so how was it? Like, you picked yourself up and what did you do after that?
So when I was 16, right, I was like, okay, you gotta be successful. You gotta be making money. You gotta like take on more on your plate, right? That is a kind of, obviously that's not the most healthiest approach because I was very young, I was lost, I was confused, I was also panicked in a certain way, right? Not the healthiest approach to take, but I was just almost like, okay, what do I do? What can I do next? I was like very like at the edge of my seat.
You don't think that whether it's healthy or not. You just have to do it.
You're surviving. You're adapting.
Exactly.
Like,
you don't know what's healthy or it's exactly what you said. It's not ideal, but you don't have an option.
So you're just trying to make it.
Exactly.
Now, when you're trying to just make it, you're not going to think that, okay, am I doing it in the right manner? Am I like being healthy about it? I have to make it, yeah. That's all that matters to me right now. And that's exactly. So when I was 16, I was like, okay, no, I don't want to obviously put pressure on my mom. I have to like, if I'm, expecting pocket money, if I'm going to college, if I'm going to do any sort of splurging or anything like that. Obviously, there was no room for me to splurge.
Yeah.
But if I was going to, let's say, pay for my college fees or do anything additional or, sort of just have my pocket money also, I was like, no, I can't really sort of put that kind of pressure on mom. I should probably get independent right away. So I started doing French tuitions because luckily I had like done some intensive training in French when I was in school. I was studied French in school. I had done like an external course. So I knew my French. My French was good in that sense. So I started doing tuitions, which was like a good means to get pocket money for me.
Yeah.
Right?
At least you can make your own ends meet. You're not like being. At that point of time, you feel like, okay, I don't want to be a burden on my family. You go into that zone and you didn't want to be that.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, in whatever little way possible, I would want to just sort of bring a little bit of independence.
Exactly, right? You try to make yourself independent and I think that goes a long way in your life as well.
Absolutely.
You grow up and then you obviously adapt more, thinking that, okay, that, as you said, that it's not very ideal, healthy. You realize it a little later on and you kind of mold yourself back.
Exactly.
And get back that little bit of sanity in you. And, don't always...
Also, sometimes the people you meet along your journey also play a very big role in sort of, calming you in that sense. Right? Like, okay,
they can go both ways, right?
They can go both ways. Absolutely. They can go both ways.
You need to be very careful of the people you choose.
Absolutely. I just feel lucky in the sense that the kind of people, in terms of my friends and even my family for that matter, the kind of people I just sort of met along my journey, right? I think they really sort of, A, they understood my struggles. B, they understood why I'm doing whatever I'm doing. So they wouldn't be like, hey, Shikha is just yehi karti rehti hai. She's never been. They really understood that. They were very accommodating of it. At the same time, they understood my fears. So they exactly knew that, okay, she's fearful about this. Let us be there. Let us just sort of like really calm her down. She's probably fretting over something that she should not be fretting over in the first place. Right? So I luckily did meet good people in my journey.
So you were guided along the way. You had guardrails. Like, okay, you keep going. We're there to, not let you fall.
Absolutely. So there was I'm not going to say there was any mentorship or any guidance or anything like that.
But there were people who didn't let you fall.
Absolutely.
Who were like, probably like, tu kar tera. But agar tu gir rahegi na, to hum log tere ko wapas phek denge upar.
But that being said, I never sort of took that A for granted.
Of course.
B, also for me to get comfortable with the fact that, if I do fall, there are people around to sort of hold me.
Absolutely.
It took me a lot of time to even get comfortable with that concept because for the longest time I'd be like, I'm alone in this. I got to figure it out. Like, sure, there are people around me, but I can't fall. I
Yeah.
shouldn't fall. You know, for the longest time, I had that sort of a mindset, right? So while, of course, there were people who were like around me and, like wishing the best for me, I was always on guard for the longest time in my life.
That's also, no one can tell you that. I think if people tell you that, okay, you be this way, the more repulsive it gets.
Absolutely.
I think it has to come from within you.
Right.
You need to grow as a person and realize that it's okay to ask for help, to let people help you, and at the same time, not take it for granted.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? Amazing. Like, good people. Were there any bad people?
Absolutely. Again, so like after college was done.
How did you deal with them?
I'll get to it. So after college was done, right, I did all of this hustling. I was doing the tuitions. Then I started studying media. Of course, I did my mass media course, right? And that's how I graduated. And I was doing like an advertising diploma on the side. And I was doing internships on the side. And I was doing freelance writing. And I was trying to win a Student of the Year award. And I was trying to also
was there anything कुछ छोड़ा तूने?
नहीं यार, मतलब बचपन से आदत डाली थी ना पेरेंट्स ने कि पांच तो कर ही ले,
10 चीजें ट्राई कर, एक तो मिलेगा. But that's how life is, right? You need to try everything. You can't put all your eggs in one basket.
And I'm not that person. Until date, I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm always like, no, I need to secure all grounds. If I'm getting into something, I am somebody who will try to sort of secure all her fronts and then probably, sort of dive into it. That's usually how I operate in life, and obviously it comes out of habit now.
Correct.
But that's essentially how I sort of navigated through my college life as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted to also enrich my life with a lot of experiences, right?
Yeah.
I did not want to just be about.
There's actually no substitute to real life experience.
Yeah.
कितना भी पढ़ लो, कुछ भी कर लो.
I don't want to miss out. Yeah, sure, I'll do my thing. I'll study.
Yeah.
And I'll like whatever, make money also. But at the same time, I have to have like actual experiences that I can look back and be proud of.
Absolutely.
Right? So
even if you're not proud of it, helps you grow as a person. That you did 5 things. उसमें से 5 में से चलो, not all 5, but 3 तो कुछ काम आए रहेंगे.
Exactly. If nothing, it's just a good memory.
It's all combination and probabilities.
Yeah. If nothing, even if it did not work out, even if let's say I fell flat on my face after sort of an experience, it's fine.
Yeah.
Something did.
It's your decision.
It's my decision.
And you negative samjha na.
Exactly.
When one of my professor told me when I was studying, he was like a very nice thing, and I till date follow it. He said that I was confused as to what to do for my assignment. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm too confused as to what to do." He's like, "Why are you thinking what to do?"
Yeah.
He just said, "Just do your complete research. Just see every goddamn thing that's out there.
Yeah.
You'll realize what not to do, and that's 95% of your work done." You're only left with 2 or 3 things.
It is really
but
true.
People don't follow that. People don't do their research. People are just like, "Mujhe kya karna hai?" They don't step back and say, "Mujhe kya nahi karna hai?"
Right. It's only after you've sort of filled your life with a lot of experiences that you're like, okay, ye ab mujhe wapas nahi karna hai. This is not for me.
You subconsciously get over there, but you don't consciously make that as a part of your everyday decision making. Right. You don't take a step back. You don't research your decisions. Like say, for example, if you are like, applying for a job, right? If it's a different field, do your research about that field. Do you think that, it makes sense? मुझे वो करना है कि नहीं करना है? पहले बात तो ये करना क्यों है?
Correct.
What is the whole quantum you need to do it? And then you'll obviously just जो बचा है वो तुम्हारा answer है.
Correct.
It's also, just a byproduct.
See, also in a way, I'm somebody who had been so sheltered all my life, right?
Yeah.
And this was that one window where I'm like, I'm not sheltered. I'm out there.
Yeah.
So take on all the experiences that are surrounding you and just sort of like figure out who you're going to be as a person. And that's essentially what I did in my college life. Okay, I was doing it all.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I did well in college. I did get that Student of the Year, so I'm like very happy about that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I still have it there. And my friends mock.
फ्रेम करके लगा देना, इधर लगाना चाहिए था, पहले बोलते इधर लगा देते.
मम्मी ने पहले इधर लगाया हुआ था, and I was like, boss, it's too embarrassing. This was back in college because she would just be like,
it's just proud of you. That's cute. That's cute though, right? That's cute.
It is definitely very cute, but yeah, I have that Punjabi mother who's just very like pompous about these things. But yeah, so college life was basically that. I was doing a lot of things. I was trying to sort of obviously get by, do the whole survival thing.
But how did that transfer into your work life?
Like, then I started working. I started with an advertising agency. Actually, my first stint was with an ad agency. Again, my professional life, I've made some, very good mentors I've known. Yeah. I've had some very good colleagues. I've known some people I'm still in touch with, good friends and all. But again, like you said, there has been like a flip side to it also. Absolutely. You do have you do have negative experiences as well. And everything that they say about the kind of experiences a female profession has to face, right? We hear about it. We hear it happened to somebody else, or it is in the news. But it is true, yeah. It is true on so many levels.
So did you so first of all, sorry that that happens. I am aware of it because I've seen it. But do you think do you go like, okay, if something bad happens to that person, do you think like, okay, I deserved it? Like, what's your take on that? Or like,
see, I'd be completely lying if I say that.
Be unfiltered.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I say that I don't derive pleasure out of seeing somebody get paid for their actions, right? I'd be lying if I say that it doesn't give me a little bit of pleasure.
Karma.
Without me doing anything.
I think that's called karma.
It's karma, right? I mean, I probably won't orchestrate something bad to happen to somebody. I just don't want to do that.
You just let nature take its course.
You just let nature take its course. What's going to happen will happen.
Yeah.
Tables do turn at some point of time, and you just sort of like. I was honestly, in so many of these cases, right, I'm not even sort of sat back and waited for something bad to happen to that person. I've just sort of gotten over and gotten past that incident. And it's only later, eventually, when I realized that, okay, but XYZ thing happened with this person.
Yeah.
Or this person has now come around in my life and is in this position, right? So I'm like, well, like, this is what you asked for it. You pretty much manifested this for yourself with everything that you were doing.
You think that... I think it was Big Bang Theory, the show. In a joking way, Raj says that, karma is practically Newtonian. Every action has its
It is so true.
Yeah.
It couldn't be truer. And
Exactly,
I've seen that happen in real life. And I've seen that literally, I've sort of...
I get it. Like, I just want to just ask you this question. So, do you think if something bad happens to you, okay, if someone is doing bad to you, do you feel like, okay, now I want to, get back at that person, or do you just be like, okay, I want my peace of mind.
No,
I want to move on and let nature.
It's always the latter, because my journey is the most important to me. My
you are
peace
more
of mind,
focused on yourself.
Absolutely, yeah, it's the most important to me. My journey matters. My peace
has
of
there
mind
ever
matters.
been an incident where someone has tried to mess with you and they've not paid for their actions?
Oh, so many times. Oh, not paid for their actions. See, I'll tell you one thing very honestly.
Is it 100% hit rate?
I don't know, Saaj, because the thing is, I've not consciously kept a tab of it.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly what I said, right? When something terrible
you
does
just
happen,
let it go. Like, okay,
I have to.
I will move on. My only way is success.
I don't have to.
You learn it the hard way in your early age of life.
Exactly.
That you can't let these people dictate your life.
Life is so short, and I've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Life is damn bloody short, and it's damn bloody unpredictable.
Yeah.
And for me to just sort of, if there is already an amount of time that a certain person has wasted of mine because they messed with me, why would I give that person
more time, more bandwidth in my mind?
That is even more unfair. Yeah, why should I give that person bandwidth? Why should I give that person more time? I'm being unfair to myself if I'm doing that, right?
I think that's what people call moving on.
Yeah, you move on.
Nothing. Or you just accept it, like
just accept it.
Abhi apne pe focus karna.
Correct. So which is why I'm saying that I've not really consciously kept a tab of acha is person ne mere sath bura kiya tha,
do you think people should keep a tab on that?
I don't think people should keep a tab, because you cannot make your life about somebody else or other people. It has to be about
you. So well put, actually. You can't make a life about
because everyone, I feel that everyone at the end of the day, or rather should at the end of the day, really sort of put themselves in the forefront. And everything else around them will eventually work out if they've got their right intentions, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what I've done. I've not made my life about anybody else for that matter.
That's so good.
It takes some time. I'm not going to lie that. See, it's easier said than done.
It's a work in progress forever.
It's a work in progress.
Forever.
Absolutely.
You'll have more incidents, you'll have more situations where you will learn more about it, and you will keep modifying it.
And I'm not in any way sort of trivializing moving on or making it sound easy. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It takes a lot of work. It takes days, months, years even, right?
It's a topic for some time else.
Yeah, so I'm
if at all we do a podcast on relationships, we can cover that.
We're talking right now and we're saying that, I moved on. I didn't think about it.
But
it's not as easy as it sounds, of course. But it is the way to sort of move ahead. And it is eventually something you should be doing.
Absolutely.
And and like you said, let just sort of nature take its course. And nature does take its course. And I've seen that around me.
2 साल बाद
2 साल बाद तुम आने वाले हो, मुझे दिख जाएगा कुछ हुआ है तुमके साथ, great. अगर नहीं भी दिखता तो that's also fine. I'm not waiting for something to go up in flames in front of me, right?
Like they say that the bill comes due.
Exactly.
With interest.
Exactly. But even if I'm not in the audience to watch
it doesn't matter even it comes around like
it doesn't matter. You know, incidentally I happen to be around, then sure I'll get my popcorn out and I'll be watching. But even if it doesn't happen,
you got to make yourself unfuckable with.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's when you really know that okay, boss, I'm good with myself.
Yeah.
हो जाने दो जो भी आसपास हो रहा है, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's eventually the stage I think we are all sort of, you know, working so actively to get at.
So, this like parting thought, if you had to just say one thing to anyone listening, what would that be?
You know, and it's just something, you know, I just think about sometimes and I'm like, yeah, I wish somebody had said this to me when I was like 18 or 17 or, you know, when I was growing up. I just wish somebody would have said that, Shikha, it's okay, take it easy, you're doing fine, you know, don't be so hard on yourself, don't beat yourself up so much, you know, you got this. You're doing all the right things, and even if you're not doing all the right things, and even if you're doing a couple of wrong things, it's fine. That's how you learn. You make mistakes, you fall, you pick yourself up, right? So I just wish somebody had said that to me. Because, you know, for the longest time, I was so tough on myself.
But that's not in everyone's hands, right?
It's not in everyone's hands. And also, you know, for you to get that sort of...
If someone, like a self-help kind of a thing, if someone could do something on their own, what would you tell them to do? I think what I could take out from this is like, just be a little light on yourself. Take it easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I mean, you know, realize that you're doing good.
So let me put it this way. I wouldn't expect a third person to be saying this to me. I just wish I would have said this to myself. You know, it's one of those things. What would you say to your 16-year-old
But also
self?
don't be complacent at the same
time.
Don't
be, absolutely. I don't think
be realistic. Be realistic and understand that, okay, I can do more. But at the same time, if you're doing a lot more, you know,
it's fine. It's fine. You know, because I feel that sometimes people get so hard on themselves when they've slipped, when they've made a mistake.
Yeah,
and I think it's okay.
In that race for perfection.
Yeah,
like I want to be perfect.
You're not always going to be. It doesn't exist. You're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So I think that is something I would have probably told the 16-year-old me that it's okay. Just chill, take it easy. I'm obviously chalta hai yaar, kar liya, theek hai. It's fine. So I would have obviously said that. Now I'm of course in that sort of headspace. And again, like you said, that doesn't mean I've gotten complacent in any way. I'm still very aggressive. I still am like,
I literally gave that intro.
I'm still very aggressive. I'm like, I want it this way, I want it this way. Let's just sort of make it happen, right? I still sort of, I'm driven by, you know, that kind of an approach. But at the same time, I know where to draw a line for myself and for others. You still have to have empathy, right? When you're sort of working with everybody, you have to have empathy for yourself. You have to have empathy for the people you're working with, right? I think at the end of the day, everyone is trying their best. So just take that into consideration.
So just basically be light on yourself. Be realistic. Don't be complacent.
Don't be complacent.
3 things that we can summarize.
Because I feel that sometimes people don't realize there's so much that they're capable of. Just don't get complacent about their lives, right? If there is something,
find the balance between doing a lot more and doing enough.
Exactly.
Just be there.
Largely put, yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you for the time and lovely chatting up with you. I think we can go on and on a lot about a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do an extended session of this.
We'll have a part 2.
We'll have a part 2. Cool. So thank you for the people listening. Thank you for tuning in and do you know, again I keep saying do subscribe and engage with the podcast. Always here, if you have any questions or any feedback, please do drop in comments. And tune in for the next episode. Take care. Cheers.